What are the two or three things that you think they should be thinking about and to be successful?
So first of all, the number one thing is like constrain the marketplace in the beginning. So make it as small as you can. So if you draw out the business of a marketplace, like there's this concept in marketplace which is called liquidity. It's like the likelihood that a seller is able to sell something and a buyer is able to find something that they want. So whether that is rental or service doesn't really matter. And so essentially you can divide up the marketplace in like sort of this matrix where on the one hand you have like location, and on the other hand you have like the categories of the things that they're selling. And for each of those, so for example, if you think about the drive-like example with the cars, or like if you take it to Australia, like you on the one hand you would have the Australian cities, and on the other hand you have like the type of car. So whether that's like small car, big car, SUV, whatever. Each of those, so you end up with this matrix, all these little squares. So Sydney small car, Sydney big car, Sydney SUV. And for each of those little squares, you need to have a reasonable amount of both demand and supply. And so you
Yes.
can imagine like the bigger that the more categories or the more locations you add, the more work you have in the beginning, because there's no, if you happen to have an incoming search from, I don't know, Melbourne, and you have only supply available in Sydney, your marketplace doesn't work. And so the bigger you make it, the more squares you need to fill. And that is something that I see marketplace founders do wrong again and again, that they're just not, because you don't, if you're a founder, you need to be sort of irrationally optimistic, right? So you always want to go like go big, but it requires a lot of discipline to make it actually smaller, and that actually, no, my marketplace is just for this one, neighborhood of Sydney doing
Right.
food or something like that. So I think that's the one, because it's impossible to get that little engine up and running if you have too many squares. And on the other side is that you will probably discover like 80% of the things that are wrong with your idea just by having one square.